Welcome to Energy is Currency, the Millennial Development Podcast devoted to helping you mind your business personally and professionally. My name is Alexis Williams, and I am your marketing consultant, idea generator, and mini modern philosopher, the entrepreneur that checks all the boxes, whatever that may mean. Subscribe to Spotify, Apple, Amazon, and iHeartRadio to listen to every gem in every episode. Season 1 is available on all streaming platforms. Welcome back to Energy is Currency. I am excited to connect with another. I have just been having such good conversations with really gifted people. And so I am in the company of Jimmy Rios today. And we are going to have some serious conversation about financial literacy. So, y'all know me. I'm Lexi. I'm your podcaster. I'm your entrepreneur. I'm all the things. Jimmy, we need the scoop on you. Give us the details.
Thank you, Lexi. Well, my name is Jimmy Rios. I'm a serial entrepreneur over 20 years in doing business, and I really um, pride myself in building a financial services ecosystem that helps a lot of people. And we talk about financial services very. I guess everybody has an insurance guy or a tax guy or a broker and this and that. I looked at it different from 20 years ago, where I said, what if we could help people understand the power of money and how it can help them to elevate themselves to another echelon, to be
Yeah.
able to do the things they want to do in financial freedom? They need to know the rules of the game, but many people don't want to explain the rules of the game. So they're left outside of the game. And for years, people are chasing their tail, trying to figure this game of money. And all we had to do was simplify it. And so
Mm.
it took me 25 years of being in the lab myself, making a lot of mistakes, to be able to write a book and start teaching people. And my book is called Decoding the Mystery of Business Credit, how we
Oh,
generate and
okay.
build credit to help you do the things you need to do. Because there's a lot of mysteries, and there's a lot of things people, they just don't know, right?
Right.
They think debt is bad and this and that, and it's not. It's just that we don't know how to use money, and we don't know how to use credit, and
Right.
nobody's taught it. So
Right.
I made it a little simpler to understand.
Wow. It seems like you are the person with the key to the real gate, to the money gate. Okay.
Well,
You have
I,
all the
I,
answers behind it.
I feel that I have learned a lot over a lot of mistakes that I've made over the years.
Yeah.
And I don't want people to have to go through that, even though learning from mistakes is not a bad thing. I think if we can simplify things so they don't have to make as big of mistakes, and they can
Yeah.
learn from listening, because I didn't have the tools they have nowadays. And
Right.
if you put it into action, now you become now you become powerful because of that, of learning, you know?
I'm really impressed because with your time within the industry, you were here before social media.
Yes,
You were here
totally.
before the economic crash. Are we going to get another economic crash? Because I'm kind of hoping so. I'm trying to buy a house, but
There, there's always going to be ups and downs. This is probably
always
the
gonna.
longest stretch. So you
That was
understand
an
that.
excellent way to put it. That was an excellent
Yeah,
way to put it. But you
yeah.
bring knowledge that was before social media, and I think
Yes.
that's important because we have a lot of new social media money gurus, and everybody has
Yes.
this great idea. And I just
And you got to be careful with that too,
absolutely
because not everything that shines is gold in how they go about talking about these things. Though it can be simplistic and you can simplify things, you got to be careful to chase after everything that is shown, because there is a methodology behind everything I talk about. This is
right.
24 years of tested experience, learning from others in the space that
Hmm.
have written about this stuff, that have, like the Robert Kiyosaki's of the world, that talk about rich dad poor dad and cash
Right.
flow quadrant, and insurance gurus and tax gurus. There's very there's time tested techniques of what I talk about that I had to go through and do myself
Okay.
before I became an advisor under Rio's Business Advisors to show others how to do it.
So, do you mind sharing some advice?
Yeah, of course.
Like what I want to go through like a few different series. Like what would you advise like a 20 something to do versus a 30 something versus a 40 something? What should be some of their financial priorities in those different
Well,
age ranges?
let's look at that, right? So in our 20s, I talk about this all the time. In our 20s, we have that concept of time where 40 years old is a long time away, where it's not. It really isn't. But
No.
when you're 20 and 25, you think that 40 is a long time away. But we never thought about the power of compound interest in our lives and
Mhm.
how we can compound interest in a money sake, but compounding in everything from our energy to compounding to our love lives, our
Yes.
parents, all these relationships. And I think in our 20s is probably the more formidable time to start putting these tests of compounding in effect. In
Yeah.
other words, instead of being so prone to be, I want it now, instant gratification, if we can start learning how to start planning for the future, right? It doesn't
Mhm.
mean you can't use that money. And I'm not telling you to go put your money in a 401k either. I'm telling you, let's start looking at compound effects in our lives that are going to give us more in what we do with our money today,
Yeah.
right? And that's one of the biggest things that we need to look at is because nobody has built a foundation. Everybody goes straight into let's go bootstrap our business. Let's go get the money here and try, but they don't do the foundational things to get
Yeah.
themselves ready to take the
Yeah.
leap into entrepreneurship, finding a better job, taking on student loan debt to get into a better career. They don't think through these things. They just
Yeah.
need reactions. So as a 20-year-old, I would say, let's get with an advisor and let's
Okay.
sit down and plan and talk about how do we set up our financial foundation to do the things that we want to do for the future,
Right.
whatever that is, right? And that's number one because many people don't even know how to manage their own bank account or look at their credit and know how to look at and read a credit report. So
Right.
why don't we go back to the basics and understand our financial stuff? I have dentists that have over 200,000 in student loans that don't even they're underwater and they're dentists and they want to start a business in their own clinic and they can't because they're stuck because they didn't
Yeah.
know 20 years ago how to do it. So they get stuck,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, okay, so in your 20s, you want us to do our
build a
research,
foundation,
build a foundation, connect with
get
the people who
advice.
know,
Yes.
and start.
Start putting money into yourself, into developing your mind to start learning of the best ways to start growing this thing we call money that we work for. And let's start learning how to make money work for us instead of us working for the money.
The soon.
Everybody can only do an 8 to 5 or 24 hours a day. Let's make money work for us. We're
Yeah.
the owners of the power to make money work. We just got to know how to make that money work.
Yep. And I love that point because there are so many types of money to be made. There's like
Yes.
money in exchange for time, money in exchange for
Yes.
intellect, money in exchange for products, money in exchange for services. There's plenty of ways to earn your money. You just have to figure out what your combination. My apologies, I blanked out for a second, but that should be okay. Um,
There you
okay, great. So there are so many different types of one path. It's lots of different paths. You're going to need a combination of the two. You may have to have a service job a couple of days of the week, but also have a
go.
time
Yes.
job. I definitely
Right.
built my foundation with that focus of I was able to be a
I
hairstylist
had to
2 days
do,
a week.
yes.
And
Yep.
then,
I had to do
I'm able
that.
to.
I had to work for, I had to work in the corporate world while building my business. I had to do
Yeah.
things that I didn't want to do, but I
Yes.
had to do it. And not and entrepreneurship is one avenue, though might not be the best for everyone. So
Right.
we got to understand that not everything is meant to be for everyone, but
Yes.
you can still make money work for you, even if you're working a 9 to 5 and you choose that route. You can still become a very successful investor with other avenues that make money for you while
Yes.
you're doing and getting the benefits of an 8 to 5 job, if that's the career choice that you chose, right? I want people to understand that financial freedom is not just being on a beach, not doing anything. Though you can do that, and I love being on the beach myself. But it's better to be on the beach when I know that I have my money working for me, and I'm not constrained to a set uh, fixation of a number of hours that I need to be in an office. That
Yeah.
I've put systems in place that are working behind the scenes by leveraging other people's time, other people's money, doing these things that we do to make money work for us, and that's building systems. Well, that's one of the biggest things I tell people is that if you can learn how to build systems in your favor in your world, you can do whatever you want, and you will find that the biggest power that you're going to have is time to do the things you want to do. There's the most finite precious thing you can get is
It's
time.
a luxury. It's a luxury
It
that we
is.
talk about
It
time
is.
being a luxury a lot on the podcast. So in your
Yes.
30s, you would recommend building your systems. You got your foundation in your 20s.
Totally.
Now you build your systems in your
Yes.
30s. So what about the
Correct.
40s? What happens in the 40s?
Oh, in your 40s, that's where I'm at right now. I'm fine tuning. I'm
Fine
elevating.
tuning. I love that. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So so you're starting to build your systems. You're starting to learn to delegate. You've learned from a lot of mistakes that you've made,
Yes.
and now you're starting to elevate. When you elevate, there's a set of responsibilities that start going from that level. Now you're looking from the top down, and
Yeah.
you got to get other minds and others that are like to help you. You can't do this on your own. You have to have a team. You have
Yes.
to build around the mission and vision that you share, because nobody can think the way you do. You got to
Right.
start thinking about duplication, AI. You got to start looking at other ways to leverage yourself better, because you can't do it all, right? Jimmy Rios can't be in 50 states or Colombia and do all these things he wants to do. He's got to have a team.
And it can't always be, I have to do what's right for the team or build for the
Right?
team or sacrifice for the team, because then the team is no longer working with you. You're working for them.
For them,
And
right?
I think that's a mindset switch that a lot of people miss at that point when
Yes,
they're trying to, like you said, duplicate and expand and scale and really branch out, is that you have to have the mindset shift from, I need to take care of everybody and make sure that they're okay, to no, I need to empower them to do the best that they can so that everybody is taken care of.
the,
And
the
a lot of
system
people
the,
miss that.
the system doesn't work if you need to have the control factor in everything, and that doesn't work that way. You need to
Yeah.
start delegating and putting others in a position to elevate them, so that you can trust in their judgment and their
Hmm.
discernment to do the right things inside your business model, even if they make a mistake.
Right.
Because I feel that those mistakes that are made are natural in the progression of learning to elevate. So they're not going to learn if you keep coddling them, and like your kids. My
Right.
kids are going to make mistakes. I got
I
three
have to.
kids, and if I guide them and they make a mistake, and they're like, "Hey, I did this. What do I do?" Now we can learn from that, right?
Right.
So it's good to understand that those mistakes are going to happen inside of your system, no matter how much you spend on standard operating procedures and training and da 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 da.
Trainings and
It
yes.
doesn't matter.
But I
Yeah.
love that. I love that we are making space for people to have a full experience. And I think that's
Yes.
another thing that we have to be more intentional about. Because to
Totally.
your point, I set up this training, I wrote this procedure out. I know it works, but they're having a
Right.
totally different experience than you. They have with a totally different belief system, perceptions. They are not you. You are the only person that's you.
Right.
So making
Well,
space for them to make mistakes allows them to even build a more trustworthy relationship too.
well, and here's another thing that nobody likes to talk about, but I do, is we need to empower our coworkers, our the individuals that are helping us build. We need to empower them to feel like they own a part of this. They want to feel empowered to be their own little business inside of a business.
Yep,
When
everybody
they
has
do
a
that,
say.
there's a reciprocal feeling that
Mhm.
if I do this, then I'm going to get that, right? And if
Right,
it works that way because we trust in them, even though I built the business model, I want them to feel empowered as a business owner themselves. So
yeah.
I treat them as as like co-owners of the business,
Hmm.
because even though they're not on paper part of the business in that fashion, they're everything's reciprocal. So the way they get paid, the way they make money. If somebody wants to work 4 hours or 40 hours, I don't build my business around the time factor. I look at it as, let's be more productive with less. If I can do
Yeah,
more with less, then hey, I'm not looking at how many hours you put in. I want to, if you can do it in one instead of 40, let's do it. And that's how I
right,
look at it.
right. I feel like I'm getting so much external validation for from
Well, you
everything
talk
you're
about
saying.
energy. You talk about energy as currency,
It
right? And
is.
and when you talk
It
about
is.
energy as currency, that waking up with that energy to go with a lot of gusto into doing whatever you're going to do, whether
Hmm.
it's under the Rios brand or under the Lexus brand, it doesn't matter. What
Right.
you're putting into it is going to come back. So
Yeah.
I really feel that mindset is one of the biggest crucial things, and we talk about this in our sales meetings with everybody who works in our organization. They're empowered to think that way, right?
Right.
So I want them to feel that their energy is going to come back to them if they're putting it out there in the right way.
Yeah.
It's an investment, right?
Yeah.
And so if you don't like what you're doing, then you don't waste your energy.
You don't have to
Go
do it.
find your
Yeah.
passion. Don't do it. Yep.
Yeah, I love that. I created energy as currency because I wanted people to understand that it's more than just the money. People see
Right.
the results, they see the success, the cars, the houses, the vacation, everything we can get on Instagram, but they don't realize that that was an intentional experience with lots of ups and, like you said, lots of ups and downs, lots of variations, lessons, mistakes, successes, triumphs. All of those things were included before we got to the jet, you know?
Right.
And if you expect for the jet to be at the end of your experience, you have to move as if your jet is on the way.
Right.
You
Think of
have
it
to
this
move.
way.
Go ahead.
Think of it this way. You can have all the hours in the day, but
Yep.
if your energy is drained, scattered, or misaligned, nothing meaningful gets built.
Yep.
So the energy is really the fuel to get everything going in your life.
Yep.
Everything.
Yep. And you know what? It's sometimes your energy isn't, sometimes your energy is going to impact people, and that's going to create a currency. We have social
Right.
currency. Do you have
Yep.
resilience currency where you can make it through hard times reasonably unscathed? What type of
Right.
currency or energy are you bringing to your experience? And it can be, if you have an Eeyore spirit, you got an Eeyore spirit.
Well,
And
look,
that's
I took a,
okay. You may find your Tigger and your Pooh to balance you out. You know,
but see,
everybody.
this is what I say. Like energy is like a bank account, right? You have
Yes,
some
of
things
course.
deposit energy. You got purpose-driven work, meaningful conversations,
Okay.
movement, faith, family, time. Other things would draw energy, negativity,
Yes,
unnecessary drama,
absolutely.
unaligned partnerships, overexposure to noise, right? So you gotta know what's getting deposited and what is draining from
Yes.
your bank, energy bank.
Mhm, mhm.
I
For
choose
sure.
to surround myself with that positive side of and when I feel something draining, I I I cut it. I don't need it. I don't want it, and I don't do it. That's just how it is.
And
People say, Jimmy, how come you're always so positive? And I'm like, well, the alternative is being negative, and I ain't got time for that.
and I think there's an even deeper process of you believe that you deserve positivity. Because there are people
Right.
I've experienced people who want to be positive, but there has to be a reason why you continue to accept less than what less than what you feel like you deserve, or less
Right.
than like you're settling for, or you continuously experience negativity because something one of the screws is saying, hey, you deserve negativity, and you haven't challenged that within yourself yet. But once you
It's that
challenge
lack of
that part, go
it's
ahead.
that lack of faith in themselves, in
For sure.
change, in wanting better. It starts with the simple fact that they say, "Well, I can't do it," right? Or
Mm-hmm.
it's not for me, or
Mm-hmm.
that they're lucky. They start talking about somebody being lucky, and it's not that. It's
As if
you.
it's a
It's
distance. Yeah.
yes.
They distance
Let's stop
themselves.
talking like it's the way we start talking and we start believing, right? Instead
Yes.
of being so negative about, well, I love my wife, but sometimes she can be like that negative Nancy. And I tell her, listen, what use do you have if you don't know the future in talking about that what if? Well, what if this happened? Well, what if that happened? I said,
What
listen,
if it
you
works?
if I walk out this door and I get run over, right?
Oh,
Like, I'm just saying, like, I'm not thinking like that. I'm not thinking, what if that happens? It could happen, but I'm not thinking like that. I'm
yeah.
thinking, what if I go and I have a beautiful day and
Yeah.
and
What if it
whatever
works?
happens with that, right?
We call
So,
that back home, we say, don't borrow tomorrow's worries. And that helps
right,
us interrupt that thought process or that rumination that, like, hey, you can't borrow tomorrow's worries. We're not even there yet.
no.
But we
And
also
there's days, and I'll tell you, Alexis, there's been days where, like, seriously, at the beginning of the day, like, everything's bad. And all of a sudden, because of the way that I internalize things and turn things around, because of that attitude, by the end of the day, all those worries and things have lifted. And
they've been
I, I,
managed.
I
Yeah.
call it, I call it prayer in action, right? Putting it
Okay.
in
Yeah, I was
action
gonna ask you, what
because
does that look like?
yeah, no, it's being able to slow down, take a step back, put
Mm-hmm.
it out there. Lord, help me, right? Whatever your higher power is, help me find the solution to whatever this is.
Mm-hmm.
And over my course of that day, I'm calling people, I'm looking at scenarios, I'm doing different things to solve that problem.
Mm-hmm.
And it just so happens that every time that I do this, and it might not happen right away, but it might set off a series of events that by the end of the day or the next day, things have opened up. And
Yeah.
I get enlightened with the thought process of maybe I should do this, maybe I should do that. And I call that consciousness,
Yes.
right? That's God consciousness coming into me,
Yep.
giving me solutions that I didn't think I had. But if I sat around thinking, this is over, I'm not going to be able to do this, it won't happen. You're not going to do it, and you will create what your mind tells you,
But
right?
I love the interruption. Because when I asked you about the process, I was so prepared to say, you got to slow down, you got to stop. And as soon as you said it, I was like, he gets it.
That's right.
You have to interrupt the
Interrupt it.
drama or the chaos
Yes.
long enough to say,
The
hey,
noise.
the noise, however you
Yeah.
label it, you are required, you're obligated to stop. And I even
Right.
like, even when I can't find stuff, let's say I misplaced my keys, and you're
Yep.
shuffling stuff, and I'll stop and I say, hey,
Yes.
hey, it's somewhere stupid, isn't it? And that shifts
Right.
my whole mentality.
Yep.
It's somewhere, it takes me out. I need to find it right now, and I'm missing it. And it
Right.
goes, so you know what? I put this somewhere really silly when I had last time. I must have been busy, or I must have been on the phone having a great conversation. And it shifts how I even lost it to
That's
attract me
right.
to it better. But it's
Yep.
the blessing is in the pause.
Right.
It's
That's
it's
right.
in the pause. It's in those moments when you said you reach on your higher calling, or you reach on you do your
Yes.
prayer, whatever your vehicle is, when you take that moment to prioritize that over the problem,
Right.
then you
It's
have a
huge.
whole different exit strategy, because now
100%.
you have the whole allegiance of the angels, the universe. You have the whole allegiance of
Everything.
it to help you fix the problem. You don't have to fix it by yourself now. You got
Right.
everybody to support you in that whole process.
That's
And
right.
that is the biggest, the most powerful tool you can have in any arsenal. I
Right.
think that's so cool. I think
Beautiful.
that's so cool. That is awesome.
Well,
There's so much
well
power in
done.
the pause. In the last few years, as I get older, I'm about 37. And so in the last,
You're a baby. You're a
I
baby.
know, I know for sure I do. But in the last few years, I've been trying to prepare for my 40s because I want my 40s, like you said, to be full of refinement. I'm coming up on a
Yes.
really dope shift, so I'm preparing for it. And then one of the
Yes.
big things was you have to slow down and you have to prioritize time as the luxury. And so, like,
Oh,
we were laughing because back in the day, like in Atlanta's airport, have you ever tried
yeah.
to get through Atlanta's airport in 90 minutes? It's
Oh, it's
insane.
impossible.
And we were
Yeah.
trying to do it, I was trying to do it in like 45. And the amount of anxiety I would create for myself trying to make it through that airport in 45 minutes for like work flights. And now I'm like, you
Yeah.
know what? We're going to go 2 hours early so we can move as slowly and as luxuriously as possible. There's luxury in the
Yeah.
slowness of moving through an airport. And I was like, huh,
Let me
okay.
tell you, there was a season where I was doing everything, working nonstop, chasing opportunities, saying yes to every call, every meeting, every request.
Hmm.
On paper, it looked productive, but in reality, I was getting burned out,
Yep.
short tempered,
Yep.
getting disconnected from my purpose.
Yep.
It didn't. My magic happened when I learned to slow down
Yes.
and really pause in
Yes.
everything that I was doing. And as I was reflecting, and I learned this through talking to other mentors that let me see that it wasn't about that crazy activity, making my feet go 100 feet and 100 paces an hour or whatever. It was slowing down and being more methodical in
Yes.
action in how I was going about doing things. And I learned through time that a lot of that problem that I was having was my own act of control, of needing
Yes.
to do all and feeling that if I didn't do this, that fear of missing out, fear of I'm not, I need to be doing all these things. When I
And
learned to
even
slow down, it was beautiful.
and even the vulnerability of saying the fear of being inadequate
Right,
and the concept of trying to prove your worth and earn your keep or all of these things that it somehow process in our subconscious as unworthy
right,
or not good enough. And it's like, well, if I do this and 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 I do this, then you can't say that I'm none of those things. You can't say that,
right,
you know? And just realizing like, no, if I don't do anything, I'm still awesome.
right.
Getting out
I'll
of the
tell you what.
performance
It,
part of it and into the presence part of it was
the,
a big task for me. I grew up in hustle
yeah,
culture. I would listen to Rick
yeah,
Ross while I walked to one school and then
right,
would catch another bus to another school and then work two jobs and then take a taxi home and all of these different things because I wanted to hit the ground running. And it was like, no, I needed to stop performing and I needed to start being. And if I couldn't be
right.
there, then I wasn't supposed to be there. So that
That's
was a
right.
big shift for me. A
That's a
huge
big lesson to learn, I think, for a lot of people, that feeling that you need to be everywhere all at once. And I think, now at 49, looking back, I mean, everything that I've done to this point, yes, has been a learning lesson. But if I can redo it, and now with my kids, right, they're 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 watching and they're
right.
processing.
They're
And I'm trying
absorbing.
to tell them, look, you guys need to slow down, do it. Let's take everything that I'm talking about, listen to these podcasts and what I'm talking about, because it's going to teach you. My daughter is 19 and she's very much like me.
Oh, I
She's the
love it.
president of her sorority. She's like graduating 2 years faster than everybody. She's in everything. And I'm always, but she works okay in that mentality, but
Yeah,
I'm telling her, slow down,
yeah.
relax. You don't have to.
Honor the
But
frequency. Honor the
yes,
frequency because that's her
definitely.
frequency. That if that's a
That's right.
normal for her, honor it. But
Oh, totally.
honor
Yes.
the shift in the
Yeah.
frequency. You know, and if you
No,
look
she
at
owns it. She
the
owns it, and she's very good about um, learning from that and understanding where her limitations are. But she also pushes herself because she knows she's got more. to give and she wants to. So it's a
Yeah.
different type of mentality, but I
Yeah.
love it because I didn't teach her that. It's
Yeah.
ingrained. It's like
It's
how
in her.
she's been doing it from since a little girl. You
You
know
did
that
teach her
love.
that, but you weren't in a classroom setting when you taught
Right.
her.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah.
There's a picture that they made when they're little, and they show it's got me in a little funny way how kids draw, and it's
Hmm.
got the phone in the hand like this, and
Oh,
so at 6, 7, 8, I don't know, they were seeing their dad on the phone all the
yes.
time.
Make
So
it work. Making
that
it happen.
right,
Yeah.
right,
I love that. I think that's so sweet, so endearing.
yeah,
That's
it's
so
awesome.
endearing. What would you what would you recommend people focus on in 2026 as far as financial growth, literacy, development? What's
Yes.
one thing we can do next year to make more of our energy into some moolah currency?
I want everybody to start looking at their financial picture and be very real with themselves. When
Okay.
I say that, what I say that is, for example, if you say I don't have money for something, I want you to start looking at what I did one year, where I had this big board and
Mm-hmm.
I put all the currency that was going out, all the currency that was coming in, and
Yep.
an exercise in being real with yourself. And when you do that, it opens up your eyes. Do it for 30 days and see what comes out and what comes in. And you're going to be surprised at where your money really is going. And
Yes.
by understanding that, the habits that we put into our everyday life, the Circle K purchases, I'm not saying you can't do these things. I'm saying don't complain that you don't have money if you don't know where your money's going.
Right.
And if you don't know how to handle your credit, let's learn about credit. Let's learn about the components to fix your credit and to put things in a higher perspective, because everything is done. Like we own a credit company that we build, and we teach people how to build their credit, right? From the bad to the pretty, how to turn it around in a short period of time. But if you don't do anything, it's going to continue negative. So
Yeah.
you have to find a way
You're gonna
to
have to
stop.
stop. Yeah.
Yes. And that's one of the things I tell people is like, if you're not real with yourself and get honest with yourself, you're never going to find a solution. You're just
Right.
going to go in circles. So you
Yeah.
got to stop the madness. Stop the
Yeah.
madness.
Stop the bleeding. Stop the
Yes.
bleeding. Yeah. No, assess the wounds. I think that's awesome. Definitely really taking a really honest there, but you know what? It's gonna tap into the shame that a lot
Beautiful.
of people carry
Yep.
that they exchange money
That's why
for.
people go years without doing anything, is because of the shame. And
Yeah,
I try to tell you as an advisor, look, let's open the hood, let's look into the kimono, and let's get real.
yeah,
Because I can't help you solve your problems if you don't really know what the problem is.
yeah,
Even though subconsciously you do know what the problem is, you
yeah,
just don't want to face it. So
yeah,
let's do it together. And done together, it's a lot easier.
yeah. I think that accountability and support makes a difference because
Totally.
people aren't. I would say I know so many people who are in very tough financial positions because they believe that they're the only person who could help them.
Right.
They don't believe that
But
there's
see,
anybody there to help them or to
See,
support them.
that's why having somebody like myself who's empathetic, because I've been through every negative thing with money that you can think of: bankruptcy,
Right,
collections, repos. I mean, I've been through the seasons, right? I went through
right.
the real estate bust and built my business on the down and on the up. I've learned how to come through those storms and how do you get ahead. And you have to be able to get real with the problem. You can't just bury your head in the sand and pretend the problem doesn't exist. Let's start doing that. Let's
Yeah,
start looking at things with a perspective of, okay, I'm in a, I put myself in this hole. How do I get myself out? And let's not look at things in such a negative light that, oh, I had to file bankruptcy or I had to do this. Listen, Donald Trump filed bankruptcy multiple times, right? And let me tell you, he I was reading an article yesterday on the
more
number
rich
of
people
businesses,
file bankruptcy than poor people do.
right? It doesn't make you a bad person if you have to hit that reset button and
Yeah.
learn from that experience, right? So don't think that the worst situation that you have is the worst situation. There's always going to be somebody out there that's worse, and let's
or
fix it.
that or that it just is hopeless. There's no hope, there's
Mhm.
nothing we can do, you're just stuck there.
Right?
It isn't the end
No,
of the road. But
no.
it makes me think about the earlier parts of our conversation where I asked, well, what should we do in our 20s?
Yep,
If you have to reset, then you go back and you reset your foundation, you start
that's right.
incremental building, you can work off your day
How
one
many
thing at a
people do you
time.
know? How many people do you know that say, "Oh my gosh, I have to start over"? That's okay. I'd
Yeah,
rather have you start
plenty
over.
of times.
I've helped people start over, and within a year, they've 10x their money,
Yep.
right? And I've seen people go from 25,000 to 250,000 in a scope of a year. It's doable,
Yeah.
right? So don't think it can't be done. I'll tell you what the worst thing is not getting started, and
Right.
not making that change.
Doing that
Getting
is just as
complacent
bad.
in the nothing. That's bad.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love that. Oh my goodness, Jimmy. This has been an amazing conversation. How can we stay
Uh,
connected with you? We need to know all of the Jimmy Rio
yes,
principles. Where can we find you?
definitely. I call them the Jimmyisms of life.
I have Lexi down
But
for sure.
yeah, it's beautiful. I have a YouTube channel that I do a lot of teaching and videos. It's at Rio's Business Funding. So definitely
At
tune into
Rio's
our
Business Funding.
business funding. Yep,
Okay, great.
at Rio's Business Funding.
Are
And
you on the
website is
Instagram and the
I'm on
TikTok?
Instagram as Rio's Business Advisors,
Okay.
and you'll find me both on all the social media. You can Google High Level to High Level
Okay.
is one of our programs that we educate on how to help people make money work for you. High Level to High Level.
Okay.
So Google that,
I love it.
and
So
and and let's make it happen, because the reality is I can talk all day about what makes it, how to do it, but together we can really
we
make it
can
happen.
execute.
It
Yeah.
works,
It has been
definitely.
a pleasure. It has been a pleasure. Totally enjoyed this conversation. I
Thank you so
personally
much.
have a ton of external validation. I'm like, I'm doing it right. Jimmy said
Yes,
it.
that's right. And we got to have you on my show.
Please,
So we'll
yes,
talk
I would
about
love
that for sure.
to. I'll send me
That'd
an
be awesome.
email and consider it
Definitely.
done. I would love
That'd
to.
be great.
And now, if you want to check out this episode, we are everywhere you podcast. We're on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, Pandora, iHeart, all of the outlets. And if you want to learn more about Atlanta Business Consulting, visit blushbizonline.com. But in the meantime, just know your energy is your currency. Please make the most of it. And thanks again, Jimmy. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Until
It's been
next
great.
time.